Amongst the Old Norse poetry of the Viking Age, one king's name has echoed down the ages to become a household name today, which evokes the image of a Viking warrior and has inspired stories, movies and TV series. This is the history of Ragnar Lodbrok. When it comes to such a legendary figure, there are many differing tales accounting for the life of Ragnar, and may well be likened to Robin Hood, who may have been a blend of a number of people. According to the tale of Ragnar Lodbrok and many other Icelandic sources, Ragnar was the son of the King of Sweden, Sigurd Ring, and his wife Asa. The name Ragnar meaning raven, and Lodbrok meaning leather trousers or hairy breeches. The sagas of Scandinavian prehistory tells more about Ragnar's marriages than his feats of warfare. According to the Sigurd, he was the biggest and fairest of men that human eyes have seen, and he was like his mother in appearance and took after her kin. He first killed a giant snake that guarded the abode of a Geatish Jarl's daughter, Thora, thereby winning her hand in marriage. The unusual protective clothes that Ragnar wore when attacking the serpent earned him the nickname Lodbrok. His sons with Thora were Eric and Agnar. After Thora died, he discovered Kakra, a woman of outstanding beauty and wisdom living with a poor peasant couple in Norway, and he married her. This marriage resulted in the sons Ivar the Boneless, Bjorn Ironside, Hitsirk, Ragnarvold, and Sigurd Snake in the Eye. Kakra was later revealed to actually be Aslong, a secret daughter of the renowned hero Sigurd Fafnersbane. As the sons grew up to become renowned warriors, Ragnar, not wishing to be outdone, resolved to conquer England with merely 2 ships. He was, however, defeated by superior English forces and was thrown into a pit of snakes to die in agony. The saga of Ragnar Lodbrok and the tales of Ragnar's sons both tell of the great heathen army that invaded England in around 866. This army was led by the sons of Ragnar Lodbrok to wreak revenge against King Aela of Northumbria, who is told to have captured and executed Ragnar. Danish sources mention a Lodbrok as father to the utterly cruel king Ewa, and his brothers Ignuar, Ubai, Bjorn and Ulf, who rule the northern peoples. The Chronicle of Sven Agerson is the first Danish text that mentions the full name, Ragnar Lodbrok. Neither of these sources mentions Ragnar Lodbrok as a Danish ruler. The first to do so is Saxo Grammaticus in his work Gestra Danorum. This work mixes Norse legend with data about Danish history, derived from the Chronicle of Adam of Briam. Here, Ragnar's father Sigurd Ring is a Norwegian prince married to a Danish princess. Sigurd Ring and his cousin and rival Ring are both killed in battle, whereupon Ragnar is elevated to the Danish kingship. His first deed as king was to defeat the Swedish king Fra, who killed Ragnar's grandfather. Ragnar is assisted in this by a ferocious shield maiden named Lagertha, whom Ragnar forces to marry him. In this marriage he sires the son, Fridolf, and 2 daughters. Ragnar later repudiates this marriage to Lagertha and marries Thora, a daughter of a Swedish king, after killing 2 venomous giant snakes that guard Thora's residence. His sons with Thora are Radbord, Dunvat, Sigurd Snake in the Eye, Bjorn Ironside, Angar and Ivar the Boneless. From a non-marital relationship with an unnamed woman, Ragnar fathered Ub. Another final marriage to Aslong produces another 3 sons, Ragnarvold, Eric, Weatherhat and Hitsvirk. Saxo's account of Ragnar Lodbrok's reign is largely a catalogue of successful Viking invasions over an enormous geographical area. Among the seaborne expeditions, he attacked the English king with his fleet, but was captured and thrown into the Pit of Snakes. Similar to the Icelandic sagas. In spite of all his praise for Ragnar, Saxo also considered his fate as God's rightful vengeance for the contempt he had shown the Christian religion. In the 9th century Frankish accounts, the sack of Paris of 845 was the culmination of a Viking invasion of the kingdom of the West Franks. The Viking forces were led by a Norse chieftain named Ragnar. This Ragnar has often been identified with the legendary saga figure Ragnar Lodbrok, but the accuracy of this is disputed by historians. Ragnar Lodbrok is also sometimes identified with a Ragnar who was awarded land in Torrots, Flanders by Charles the Bold in about 841, but eventually lost the land as well as the favour of the king. Ragnar's Vikings raided Rouen on their way up the Seine in 845, and in response to the invasion, determined not to let the royal abbey of St. Denis be destroyed. Charles assembled an army which he divided into 2 parts, one for each side of the river. Ragnar attacked and defeated one of the divisions of the smaller Frankish army, took 111 of their men as prisoners and hanged them on an island of the Seine to honour the Norse god Odin, as well as to incite terror in the remaining Frankish forces. Ragnar's fleet made it back to his overlord, the Danish king Horik I, but Ragnar soon died from a violent illness that also spread across Denmark. In later continental accounts, the oldest text to mention the name Lodbrok is in the Norman history of William of Jumiers in 1070. According to William, the Danish kings of old had the custom to expel the younger sons from the kingdom to have them out of the way. It was during the time this practice was in fashion that King Lodbrok succeeded his unnamed father on the Danish throne. After gaining power, he honoured the said custom and ordered his junior son, Bjorn Ironside, to leave his realm. Bjorn thus left Denmark with a considerable fleet and started to raid in West Francia and later the Mediterranean. In a passage referring to the Viking raids of the late 9th century, he mentions the Danish or Norse pirates Horik, Orwig, Gottfrid, Rudolf and Ivar. This Ivar is seen as a cruel persecutor of Christians and a son of Lodbrok. According to the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, the Great Heathen Army is said to have been led by the sons of Ragnar Lodbrok to wreak revenge against King Aela of Northumbria, who had previously executed Ragnar by casting him into a pit full of venomous snakes. Among the organisers were at least some of the brothers Ivar the Boneless, Uber, Halfdan, Bjorn Ironside, Hitsvik and Sigurd Snake in the Eye, all of whom are known as historical figures, save the slightly more dubious Hitsvik. Ivar the Boneless was the leader of the Great Heathen Army from 865 to 870, but he disappears from the English historical accounts after 870. The Anglo-Saxon chronicler Athelweard records Ivar's death at 870. Halfdan Ragnarsson then became the leader of the Great Heathen Army, and he led it in an invasion of Wessex. Attempts to reliably associate the legendary Ragnar with one or several of those men have failed because of the difficulty in reconciliating the various accounts and their chronology. But the tradition of a Viking hero named Ragnar, who wreaked havoc in the mid-9th century Europe and who fathered many famous sons, is remarkably persistent, and some aspects of it are strengthened by the relatively reliable sources such as the Irish historical tradition and the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. The truth of the celebrated figure of Ragnar Lodbrok may never be known, but his legendary feats will echo further down the ages of the world as a Viking warrior that surpassed all the kings of the Old Norse world.